Well, greetings and welcome to the devotion for Tuesday, November the 10th. Before we look at the devotion today, I want to remind you to be praying for Don and Nancy Blanchard. Don and Nancy have been an active part of Livingstone's ministry since the very beginning. And recently, because of health issues and COVID, they've not been able to be part of our gatherings, and we miss them, so especially ask you lift them to the Lord today. Today we're looking at 1 Kings chapter 7, and tomorrow, which Matt will be doing, you see one of the great chapters of 1 Kings where the ark is brought to the temple and Solomon's prayer of dedication and all that. And we see in the chapters ahead, the next 2-3, Solomon's wisdom on display and all that. Sometimes it's good to know the end from the beginning, and other times it's not. For instance, I am so grateful in the days in which you and I live that I know that we know the end from now. Because in many ways, it would look like that we as people of God who seek to hold to certain moral values, that we might be losing the battle. But we know the end, right? And we know that King Jesus wins, and we're his people, and we're victorious. So I am so grateful that we know that. But I mentioned this in another devotion. When I read about Solomon, even about the really good things, for the lack of better terms, I'm going to say, unfortunately, I know the end. And even though, as I said, in the next chapter, we are going to see a great highlight of Solomon's life, we, in this chapter, are going to begin to see some of the things that cause the downfall of Solomon. Closing verse of chapter 6 says this, closing sentence. So he was 7 years in building it, the temple. Now that's pretty impressive. Solomon's temple took 7 years to build. First verse, though, of the next chapter that we're looking at today. But Solomon took 13 years to build his own house. So he finished all his house. It's interesting, the but is there. He took 7 years to build the temple of the Lord, but he took 13 years to build his own house. Twice the time to build his own house as he did to build the temple of the Lord. Then if you go on down here to the middle of verse 8, it says this. Solomon also made a house like this hall for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had taken as his wife. Now, come on. Wouldn't you think if you took 13 years to build your house, it'd be big enough for your wife to live in with you? But in addition to spending 13 years building his house, he built this other palace for Pharaoh's daughter. When you get over to chapter 11, there is this switch in Solomon's life, a very sad switch. Solomon married many foreign wives, which God had said you shall not do. And the Bible teaches that they turned his heart from the Lord because they had many foreign gods. Again, for me, Solomon is one of the saddest stories in all the Bible because he had such great potential. And when he started, he asked for the right thing. I often think about the fact that if we're not cautious and if we don't keep our eyes on the Lord, our blessings can become a curse. Sometimes I look at the United States of America. I think about the fact no other nation has ever, I don't think, I don't know that Israel has, but anyway, look how we as a nation have been blessed. But what happened? It's like our blessings, it talks about it, I think, in the book of Deuteronomy as God blessed them, yet it's like they got their focus on the blessings and their heart turned from God. And it seems like as we as a nation have prospered, that's where our eyes have turned to, and we've turned our eyes and our heart away from God. And that's what Solomon did. It should say a word to us or offer us a warning in our individual lives. We may be walking with God and God may be using us and we're seeing the blessing of God upon our lives. But when I look at Solomon's life, those very blessings, instead of him staying focused on God, it wasn't the blessings themselves, it was the way he used the blessings that turned his heart from God. Sometimes we may think, well, that's not going to matter any. Here's what I think this chapter ought to warn us. Proverbs says, above all else, guard your heart, for out of it are the issues of life. I believe in building boundaries as a child of God. I just believe being a pastor, there's certain real danger places. One of them, I've seen so many pastors fall because of other women. And I want to shepherd the men and the women of the flock of the church I pastor. But I try to be extremely cautious because I know that that is an area that the enemy can use to cause pastors to fall. Therefore, that's the reason I have a policy that, I don't ride along with other women and I don't do those type of things. Money's another area. Many pastors fall because of money. Another reason that I try to be very cautious when it comes to money. Don't want to know what anybody gives or anything like that. But see, that's for me. Everybody has areas of weakness that could actually be our blessings, but that could turn us from God. Quick example, and then I'm done. So many times I've dealt with this in people's lives. Pastor, pray I get a job. I need a job. Pastor, I need a job. We pray they get a job. All of a sudden they quit coming to church. Well, I'm just so tired from working. Sunday morning's the only morning I've got to sleep in. And they start doing that. And next thing you know, they're not even walking with God. Hey, today, let's ask God for wisdom. But let's ask God for enough wisdom that we heed his warning if our heart begins to turn from him. God bless you. Have a great day.